Part two is here. Welcome to part two of the Wildcard Weekend Pump Take Sports Show. We're doing NFC today, so a little bit more up our alley. AFC will probably be way more fun, all those games, but there are some good NFC games too. We're going to go over the Seahawks, Rams, football team, Bucks, and the Saints-Bears game. We'll start right off because I know we're going to ramble for a lot of this video, so we'll just go right into the first game, being the third seed Seahawks going up against the sixth seed Rams, hosting them in Lincoln Financial Field and or CenturyLink. They changed the name.
They changed the name to something. I don't know what it is.
CenturyLink. They'll be in CenturyLink.
We're just going to call it CenturyLink.
Yeah, CenturyLink. That's what it is in my heart. And yeah, so the Seahawks versus the Rams. I guess I can start just by saying that I do have the Seahawks winning this game. I do think it's I think this is kind of similar to the Colts-Bills game that we talked about in the AFC video, that these are two very good teams, and I think they're the most evenly matched teams in the NFC Wildcard. I think it's going to be a great game. I think it'll be interesting to see how Seattle's offensive line holds up against the Rams pass rush, because that Rams pass rush all season, every time I watch a Rams game, impresses me. I mean, obviously there's Aaron Donald, but all the other guys on that team as well. I think, it'll be interesting to see a Jalen Ramsey versus DK Metcalf or Tyler Lockett, whoever they decide to put him on, matchup. That'll be really fun.
It'll be Metcalf for sure.
But, fun game no matter what. I do have the Seahawks taking this one just because I think Russell Wilson will bring an X factor to a playoff game that he usually brings. And with the weapons that he has, he's going to turn up the heat on this Rams defense, and it'll be very interesting to see if they can stop it. But I have the Seahawks. Aiden, what about you?
Yeah, I have the Seahawks too. And it's funny because I kind of have the same reasoning, but it's more of a cop out for me because I really don't have a feel for this game at all. You said you feel like it's going to be a close game like the Colts and Bills. I'm not saying that's out of the question, but I just have no idea what's going to happen here. To me, this is a really, really weird game. If for no other reason than we don't even know who's going to be starting at quarterback for the Rams right now, because obviously Goff is coming off of that surgery he had on his hand in Week 16. We might be getting another game of Wolford. I think it's probably Goff.
Rams, You hate to see that.
Yeah, I mean that would really suck. But I mean, I don't know. Are they really that much worse with Wolford than Goff? Goff at his best, yes. But Goff, you never know what you're getting.
No one, I think, doubts, if you watch the Rams often, that Goff is really a system QB more than any other QB. Definitely any other playoff QB, but and most QBs in the league. So you're absolutely right. How much of a difference really is it between Goff and Wolford?
But that's the thing. I don't think it is, and especially because you have and like I said, I'm picking the Seahawks because I'm just going with the elite QB and the good offense over the elite defense, which is why the Rams have been winning games. It's not because of their offense. Their offense has had good games because they can be good when Goff is good and he's hitting those receivers, and McVay's scheme is working with the run game and everything. And I think I didn't watch too much of that the game on Sunday because I was preoccupied with other games. But I don't know if Whitworth was back, but if he's back, that'll be an X factor for the Rams. But in any case, essentially, I'm just going with the offense over the defense here because the Rams defense has arguably been the best in the league this year. And they do. It's again the third game in this pseudo series for the Rams and the Seahawks. Obviously, they played twice in the regular season and split those games. Mm-hmm. So I just have no idea what we're going to be getting here, and I know that's not really great analysis.
No, and you know what? It was no better than anything analysis, which was kind of the same thing. I think it's just going to be close because both teams are good teams, similar to the comparison I made with the Colts and the Bills, and very similarly to you. My main reason is just Russell Wilson plays on the Seahawks, and Russell Wilson, I think is at home. I think they're just going to take this playoff game. I think they were just a little bit ahead of the Rams all year, and I think they're just going to continue to be 2 or 3 steps ahead of LA this year.
That's how I see it too. I don't really like how the Seahawks offense played over the second half of the season. Their defense got better, but their offense regressed a bit. But yeah, I'm just kind of defaulting on when in doubt, take the quarterback.
It kind of came back a little, there was a period where it was kind of shaky, and I think they kind of restabilized a little bit towards week 15, 16, 17.
A little bit, yeah. But again, they're going up against that defense with Jalen Ramsey and Aaron Donald. So we'll see how they fare against them. But yeah, I'm just gonna when in doubt, just take the quarterback, right?
Yeah,
I would not be surprised if Saturday rolls around and we get the good version of the Rams and LA gets the W. But yeah, I don't know. It's the Seahawks. They have history in the playoffs. They have history as an organization.
Yeah.
Not that the Rams don't either. I mean, they were in the Super Bowl with this team a couple years ago, but yeah, I don't know. It's just a really
and that when I actually look, if I was to bet this game, if I was to put money down on this game, which is I'm not going to do for this game,
the over.
Can you really think you're gonna open up your phone and see Rams beat Seahawks? I can't see it. I can't foresee it. And sometimes it's hard to create an analysis for why you just don't have a gut feeling for something, because once again, both these teams are good. But it's more just about the Seahawks. I just think are the pick here for both of us for all the reasons we just said, and a much more interesting game to talk about maybe is the 4th seed NFC East champions, the football team versus the Buccaneers. Tom Brady did make the playoffs this year. Some people said, oh, they're going to be garbage. Some people said, book them for the Super Bowl. And they found a nice medium of not winning the division. So they've kind of found their place playing against the football team, which is, some people would say lucky, once again, for Brady's postseason resume.
People have been saying that.
Is to play a really shitty team Wildcard Weekend. And I actually don't think Washington is shitty. If you are a Pump Take follower, I picked them to win the NFC East a long while ago. And I'll tell you this, I do have the Buccaneers written down to be my winner of this game, but Washington might win this game. I am less, I'm going to look at the spread. Do you have the spread number in front of you, by the way?
I do. It's -9. I have a lot to say about this game. I don't know if you want to, say your piece first, and then I can say mine, because like I said, I have a lot of takes about this game.
You can go ahead.
It's -9 for the Buccaneers.
I will. Okay, before you go though, if it is -9, I'm going to consider betting that. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay. On the football team?
Yeah.
Okay. Because to me, I truly can't believe that this spread is only -9. That is baffling to me, because not only is Washington by far the worst playoff team in recent NFL history, but they're going up against a scorching hot Tampa Bay team with a top 3, maybe top 2 roster in the entire NFL.
Can I just beat you right there?
Yeah.
The football team are better than the Bears. Change my mind.
Okay, we will get into that, because I sort of actually agree with that. We'll get into that in the next game, because I have takes about that too. And I almost tweeted that today. Yeah. I have it in my draft saying that somehow the Bears might be worse than the football team.
They are worse than the football team, bro. They started. Okay, we'll rant about the Bears in a second. Vic, sorry. Continue.
Yeah, exactly. We'll get to that, but yeah, I don't know. I think it's very close. But I just think I was here's the thing, because I was always kind of thinking in the back of my mind this whole season that by the time the playoffs rolled around, people would be convincing themselves, just overthinking it, thinking that the NFC East playoff representative thing, going, oh, they're not so bad. They and trying to just tripping themselves up in their head, because it's too obvious, and this is what people do with the NFL, and it is the NFL. But some people are saying that they not only have a chance, but a good chance of winning this game, and I just think that's insane. I've seen people in the NFL media world that I actually respect, and I know that they do good work, and they have said that the Washington football team has a chance. But I'm just saying, don't fool yourselves. Washington is terrible, and I mean terrible. They are not a good team at all.
I kind of disagree. I think.
Well, let me say my case, and if you want to argue the point, because I'm sure there's something I have something in here that you're going to disagree with, but something that we probably will agree with is that their offense is just putrid. As good of a story as Alex Smith has been coming back from that horrible injury, and I have respect for both him and Ron Rivera as people. But as far as a football player goes, he is not a playoff caliber QB by any stretch of the imagination at this point in his career. And I think you just saw it on display this past Sunday night. If you get pressure on this guy, the play is completely dead. He just doesn't stand a chance. He's a solid game manager when everything goes right, but he's also extremely turnover prone. Even when he's not under pressure, he will make bad decisions. and he offers you less than nothing, like I said, when the play breaks down. So the offense just does not stand a chance. The offensive line is just okay. And I love Terry McLaurin, and I especially love Antonio Gibson, but they are just not enough to carry this anemic offense, led by Alex Smith.
Offense is as anemic as you perceive it to be.
It's terrible, man. If you can get pressure, and the Buccaneers can get pressure, it's not going to look good.
They can get pressure, but I also think that there is some guys that can move. I think Alex Smith he's the game manager, absolutely. But once again, this isn't as, I have the Bucs picked. I'll preface with that. I think the Bucs are going to win this game if that's who my pick is. But I'm a football team believer. Maybe I'm a sucker, but it's not the offense necessarily that makes them, not a horrible team. I think they're better than the Bears, and I think it's because their defense is better than the Bears. Straight up. I think
give me your takes about the Washington defense, because I have some things to say.
I mean, there's obviously the pass rush, right? Like, you don't need to go too into that. I think it's an incredibly good pass rush that can generate pressure on an offensive line this year in Tampa that has shown signs of being a little bit shaky. Look when Tampa has played against what was the team? There was a few games this year New Orleans that they're always moving back. There's holding penalties. There's issues between communication. The offensive line in Tampa does have issues, and the pass rush in Washington might be their best asset as a team. And I think if you can get pressure on 42-year-old Brady, he's not running anywhere. And once again, I don't think that Washington is going to run away with this game or anything like that. But, I don't think the Buccaneers are a perfect team. And I think based on their offensive line issues and is Mike Evans playing? Do you know if Mike Evans is playing?
I would guess that he is, but
yeah, either way. I mean, yes, they're getting hot right now, but I don't know, man. I think that Washington's defense is quick, and it can throw some things at Brady that he might not completely be expecting in this game. I think Rivera's a good coach. I don't think he's a bad coach by any means. I just think Washington isn't the worst team in the playoffs, and I know they are the champion of the NFC East, and that was a horrible division, but I think they were the best team in the NFC East by quite a little bit. I mean, the Giants obviously had a chance to make it there, but I think the football team is a good organization going in the right place, and I think they have the guys on the defense to kind of get them there.
All right, well, I'll just respond. I'll just say, number one, I think that if you're to make an argument for why Washington stands a chance, you just made it. But I'll tell you why I disagree. First of all, I don't agree with what you said about the Tampa offensive line. I think if you look at their worst games, you're right. If the Tampa O-line can't hold up, you're absolutely right. This offense doesn't stand a chance because Brady just isn't good under pressure.
Mm-hmm.
At this stage in his career, especially. But the thing is, in those worst games, like the New Orleans one, they were dealing with injuries. Their left tackle Donovan Smith has been out. Ali Marpet, one of the best guards in the league, has missed games this season. And yeah, when those guys aren't playing, this offense is susceptible to pressure. But when they are all playing, this is one of the best offensive lines in the league. And I'm not exaggerating. Tristan Wirfs, arguably been their best right tackle in the league this year as a rookie. Certainly been the best of the four big offensive tackles that came out of this rookie class. He has been he has made a case for offensive rookie of the year, if you can, as an O-lineman. And then the rest of the line, like I said, Ali Marpet, one of the best guards in the league. Ryan Jensen, their center, really solid. Their left tackle, Donovan Smith, solid. He's okay, but you could do a lot worse at left tackle. And then Alex Kappa, their other guard, he just kind of fits in there. He's okay as well. But all together as a unit, they're really good. And so they can just kind of neutralize Washington's best unit, which, like you said, is their pass rush. But I just want to say, I think the Washington defense, and people aren't going to like this, I don't think I've seen a more overrated unit in football in a long time.
Right.
I look at it, and don't get me wrong, they're very solid. They're a good defense. But I think what's happening is you're seeing this division winner. And as bad as they are, they're a division winner. And people are kind of looking at the best thing about the team and sort of conflating it with division winner and overhyping the defense. It's good. It's unquestionably the best part about this playoff team. And like we said, the pass rush is definitely the best part about that. But it's solid. It's just solid. It's nothing more than that. I think their corners, Darby, Fuller, and even their nickelback, what's his name, Jimmy Moreland. I think they're all pretty underrated, actually. But the D line is just grossly overhyped.
Do you think it kind of finds a balance between
exactly.
those guys are being underrated and them being heavily overhyped? It finds a balance in the peak and the
exactly.
valley.
And this is just my opinion. This is not the official pump take opinion on the Washington defense. This is what I think about my evaluation of these players.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think the D line is overhyped because what it is it's really deep and it's really solid, and people just kind of conflate that with everyone being superstars. That's not the case. They have 4 interior players who are legitimate starters. Some of them are better than others. Jonathan Allen is obviously their best interior defensive lineman. Well. Payne is solid. Ioannidis, who didn't play this year, is solid. Seth is really underrated. He's. I feel like a lot of people misinterpret this and think that they all have to be superstars. All very solid players. And which people aren't going to like. I don't think they have a single superstar on that entire defensive line, and that includes Chase Young. People are going to hate that. He's obviously the defensive rookie of the year.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to dispute that, but this guy's not a superstar yet.
Why do you No, listen, I don't think he's a superstar, but in the terms of, I guess then we need to define what superstar means. But I agree, he's not a superstar yet. But there's no dispute that Chase Young changes the way that whole defense operates. Look at it last year. They had a lot of similar guys in the front 4, and they weren't able to put it together as much as they did this year.
I just think because he's definitely their best pass rusher, and I've studied him closely, obviously being a division rival. I've watched him
you would
play.
know more than I would about this team as well. Like, this is a division team for you, so.
Here's what I'll say. Here's why I think. So to me, he's Jadeveon Clowney. So again, Jadeveon Clowney's a very good player.
Yeah. You could argue a superstar.
You could argue that. I don't think anyone would make that case at this point in his career.
Maybe not with Tennessee.
And I'm not saying Jadeveon Clowney is Chase Young's ceiling either. I'm saying that's where he is right now, and that's a great place to be as a rookie.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not like talking shit about Chase Young here. I'm just saying, like, settle down, people. This is not a superstar edge rusher. He's made a ton of splash plays and turnovers that were highly fluky. Like the one that comes to mind is, I want to say it was against Pittsburgh. Maybe it was against San Francisco, actually, where it was like somebody else caused this Nick Mullins, and Chase Young just happened to be in the right spot and picked it up and ran it in for a touchdown. Great play. And you can say he's a playmaker and he just does these fluky things more consistently because that's who he is, kind of like Clowney was at South Carolina.
Yeah.
He did that a lot there. But it doesn't really actually tell you very much about how good he is at his actual job, which is rushing the passer. And again, he's good at that too.
Mm-hmm.
But people see these plays that are like these big splash plays that don't really tell. And they're kind of like, oh, defensive rookie of the year, superstar, one of the best edge rushers in the league. And that's all I'm saying is temper down from that. He's not there yet. He can get there. He's not there yet. And it just is like his actual down-to-down pass rushing ability isn't quite at an elite level.
What it would be.
So all I'm saying is like,
yeah.
What's that?
What it would be perceived to be by people who aren't watching the football team.
That's my whole point. Right now he's Clowney, which is perfectly fine.
Which is a great player. In fact, it's amazing that's what you kind of drafted him to be, and there's nothing wrong with that.
And I think, that's everything is fine about that. He has the chance to be much better than Jadeveon Clowney. I'm not disputing that, but this idea that he's already some superstar pass rusher is totally insane to me if you actually watch him play. Because he does things that are like really good. Like another play that comes to mind is last week against the Eagles, where he was just like totally unblocked and ran and like tackled I think it was Boston Scott, the running back, for a loss. Mm-hmm. Great play, but and like shows great instincts, but like that doesn't say anything about him as a pass rusher. But people see that and they're like, oh, Chase Young. Like, it's
the highlight plays that get reposted a lot. He is one of those.
Yeah, exactly. I know that wasn't really super eloquently put there.
No, bro, it was. I completely understood your point, and I think it was a cool point to raise on the show because it's something that not a lot of people are talking about. And once again, let me just preface by saying, like, I am picking the Buccaneers. So I don't want to be pinned on like social media as a football team like stan that like thinks that they're like amazing. They're like
No.
I don't love them. They have flaws. But I see what you're saying. I just do think that I think they might score in this game. I think it just depends on how Brady plays. And once again, Brady is Brady. He's going to play good in the playoffs, but there is a lot of less certainty with this one than there is with a lot of the games in the AFC. I don't know what you'd call it, bracket, I guess, AFC side of the football world. And even, the Seahawks and Rams game as well. This one.
I just want to say before we move on, I was not attributing any of those takes to anyone in particular about Chase Young. These are the kinds of things I see on Twitter where like a Chase Young highlight gets posted and people in the comments are like, best edge rusher in the league. It's like, slow down here. Like this is like, he has a long way to go. And so I feel like that is contributing to some of these people's takes who say that Washington has a even cover the spread or something like that. Teams are in completely different leagues. And you're going to see it when they play on Sunday. Especially because Tampa's O-line can neutralize that strength of Washington. And then they have Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Antonio Brown, Gronkowski, Tom Brady, who can absolutely carve them up in the secondary. So
yeah, it'll. You make a very compelling argument. There's no doubt about that. That was well put for the Buccaneers. The last game that we have to talk about here, which is. I think the Bears are worse. And I mean, we just talked about the football team, but I think the Bears are actually worse than the football team. And this is a team in my division, so I do watch them quite a bit. And I will tell you right now, the Saints are going to win this game. It's not going to be even close. The Bears kind of suck. They started the season 5-0. They had everything going their way in every game of those first 5 games of the season. And then after that, they fell apart in a division where you get to play the shitty Lions 2 times a year, and they didn't have an exceptionally tough schedule. The Bears lost. What did they finish? 8-7 total? Was that their final record? 8-7? I believe it was. 9-7?
Yeah.
9-7. But they won the first 5 games of the season, so they went 4-7 after the first 5 games of the season. And they did lose Akeem Hicks for a little while, but they never, I could be wrong about this, but I don't think they ever lost Khalil Mack. They didn't really have a lot of super important injuries on defense. Most of the team was healthy all year, and they were switching between 2 quarterbacks playing the hot hand. I don't think this is a very good team. I think the Saints are going to obliterate the Bears. And I really can't see it being too close. I mean, they roll Mitch Trubisky out there into the Superdome, and that Saints defense, it just is going to eat them up. It's going to eat them alive. Excuse me.
Yeah. To be honest, it's like you were taking the words off of my page here. I think I can just back up everything you say. Like, obviously you're a Packers fan, but I know for a fact that, I can back up that that's not anything to do with the Packers rivalry or anything like that.
Yeah.
I have no horse in this race, and I'm telling you the exact same thing is true. I think the Bears, like what I was saying about the football team, I think it's even to a higher degree with the Bears, like people picking the Bears, like getting cute and just picking the Bears. It's ridiculous. I see people hilariously talking themselves into this, and again, don't do it, people. Like this Bears team is bad with a capital B.
It is. It's horrible.
Like you were saying, they had the benefit of that super fluky start. Where they just beat up on bad teams, and they did admittedly beat Tampa Bay on Thursday night. In the middle of the season, they just got exposed for what they really are.
And they won a lot of close games too that were very close. And I feel like if you were to look at, this is completely, there's no stats to back this up, but I feel like if you were to look at their wins this season, all of them, all 8 of them, I am curious at their point differential between them and their opponent in all those games put together. I feel like it would be bottom 10 in the league.
Well, yeah, you have a point here. So I had the Bears schedule pulled up from before the recording.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure when I was talking about their early start that, they weren't playing any really good teams. And it's true. What you're saying is absolutely true. If you look at their first few games, the margin of victory is slim. beat the Lions by 4 points. They beat the Giants by 4 points. They beat the Falcons by 4 points. They lost to the Buccaneers by 1 point.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. All of their games were incredibly close in a point differential basis. And that's winning 9 games. They still lost 7 games. You flip a few of those points the other way, they lose more games than the football team does.
Yeah, like, absolutely.
The Bears are not good at all.
I mean, you can't really do that. Like, I'm not going to do this, but you can make the same argument for the Giants. Like, they lost a lot of close games, but I'm not going to do that. I know the Giants were a bad team this year. And the same goes for the Bears, I believe. When they put Trubisky back in, I think this is what's kind of fooling people because they started basically just facing a who's who of the league's worst defenses. And at the same time, all the other 7-seed contenders were just kind of falling apart. Like the Cardinals, Kyler got hurt, and they just were starting to fall apart.
Cardinals are
Vikings fell apart. Sorry, I didn't catch that.
I'm just saying the Cardinals are far better than the Bears and far deserved.
Oh yeah, way better.
You give
it's
a
not
healthy
even close.
Kyler an opportunity. It sucks for Cardinals fans because you give a healthy Kyler an opportunity to go up against this Saints team, and it's much more of an entertaining game than the Bears would be.
Well, here's the thing: we can kind of talk about them after this. The Dolphins, I wasn't expecting this year because they're such a young team. I think their time is coming. And I don't think it's the end of the world. It sucks again the way it happened with injuries, but I think they'll get their time. But as far as the Bears go, this is a team that should be closer to picking in the top 10 in terms of quality than they are to playing in this playoff game.
I completely agree with you.
Trubisky's still awful. Again, he just faced some awful defenses. That's why he looked like. And we can talk about this too. Like the conversation that the Bears should double down on Trubisky, it just blows my mind. Like who
is saying this? You look at Trubisky, and the only defenses that he can somewhat move the ball down the field against are really bad defenses.
Just awful.
And he's not carving them up. That is a wrong misinterpretation of what's happening.
That's the thing. Also, he still looked really bad. Yes. He still looked really bad when he tried to throw the ball down the field against him.
And he doesn't move the ball down the field. You put a serviceable quarterback against a really bad defense, big plays happen. That's just what happens. Defenses break down and quarterbacks move the ball far. Trubisky dinks and dunks as if he was playing against the best defense in the league and he had no other option but to check down. That's how he plays against bad defenses. You put him up against a good defense, good night. Good night. In the Superdome, you're done. You're toast. Trubisky.
Well, that's the other thing is like, they're going up against an elite Saints defense. Like the Saints defense has been pretty much since like after the first few weeks, they have been lights out against both the run, which has been carrying the Bears, and the pass, which obviously, Trubisky's he's not one to carve up a good defense. So that's not a good matchup. But then arguably more importantly, the Bears defense isn't the same either. I feel like 18 season where they were like historically really good. Anymore. They're a solid unit. They're still a good defense, I would say, but they're not good enough to carry an offense that is still puke.
No. And we lost you there for just a second, but I got what you were saying about them being kind of like the 2018 Bears and like how that perception is now bled into that they're still that.
Yeah,
they are not.
That's what I was saying.
They are not still that at all. I know that 2018 defense was suffocating. Now you look at this defense, it is not suffocating. You see what the Packers did to them last week? It was embarrassing. We couldn't be stopped. And I know we're a good team, but like legitimately, it was the smoothest game, arguably, the Packers have played all season. Aaron was like 10 for 10 at halftime for like 150 yards and 3 touchdowns. Nothing can be stopped. And we're missing David Bakhtiari, and that's with Billy Turner going up against Von Miller. Like Khalil Mack. Yeah. But like, anyway, it's just embarrassing that the Bears are, and I mean, I probably sound like a lunatic yelling about the Bears.
No, that's how I felt about the WFT. So don't feel bad. You don't sound like a lunatic. You're making a good point about, like you said, it was the Green Bay offense, but the Saints offense isn't a slouch either. No. They are a potent offense with an elite O-line.
Yep.
A future Hall of Fame quarterback.
Yeah, and you know what also, bro?
And they're likely going to be getting their 2 best players back.
Yeah, and there's a perception that Drew Brees can't move the ball down the field, and I get it.
That's not true.
I get it. You know what? Sometimes he doesn't look good, but it's not necessarily true, especially in a playoff game at home against this Bears defense. He will move the ball down the field. And if people want to bet on the Bears to try and slow him down, you will be betting wrong.
Yeah, you know what? Two things. You're right. At times, Breeze, he's not what he used to be. There's no denying that. But the idea that he can't be what he used to be at all is a farce. And on top of that, I just remembered on the spot here, these teams played at the Bears Stadium at Soldier Field earlier in the season.
Oh, yeah.
And the Saints dominated, I believe.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure there was like 3 Taysom Hill touchdowns in that game.
Oh yeah, it was actually pretty close. It went to overtime. It was when the Saints were still. It was early in the season. It was full playing, first of all, and the Saints were still figuring some things out.
And you could argue Foles back then is better than Trubisky is. Like, the way Foles was playing back then, at least he could move the ball to Allen Robinson.
I think it's just a wash.
I agree both ways, but I'm just saying, like, you could even say back when they played back then, the Bears, that's when the Bears were 5-0 and everything was going right and Foles was moving the ball. Was that in the first 5 weeks of the season? I feel like it was for some reason.
I don't think it was in the first 5 games, but it was still like the Bears were still looked at, based on their record.
All the Bears hype that was coming out of when the Bears were 5-0 was bothering me so much. So I made an effort. And you know what? When we were talking about the WFT stuff, I do watch some WFT games, but I don't watch all of them. I watched a lot of Bears football, and I'm telling you right now that it is not going to be close with the Saints. Not going to be close. Yeah, I'm going to bet on it. I'm talking myself.
I mean, the thing is, the one reservation you have is like the Saints these last few years. Every time they make the playoffs, they just choke in their first or second game that they play. So it's possible. I mean, it's possible that happens here. But I don't know. I feel like the Saints are going to start hitting their stride at a good time. Here's the thing, and I think this comes from Jeff Feinberg says this, where I'm not sure, I could be wrong, but maybe you can tell me. But the team that plays that has already played their best football is not the team that wins the Super Bowl. I don't believe the Saints have played their best football this season, and I'm not predicting them to win the Super Bowl, but I'm just saying this is why I think they're not going to be the traditional Saints in the playoffs, and they're going to win this game by a lot. They're getting Alvin Kamara and back from the COVID list, and Michael Thomas probably back from the IR. Yeah. I think they're set up to play their best football of the season, which is always a good thing for a playoff team.
Yeah, and let's just be realistic also, just from a coaching perspective of how Sean Payton is just going to dismantle.
He's going to coach circles around Matt Nagy.
Oh, it's not even going to be close. But, I mean, I'm glad that one made me feel a lot better about, like, really getting that Bears shit off my chest, because I have Saints win in my notes in all caps, and it's highlighted in red because I was fired up about talking about it, because to me, the Saints are so much – honestly, man, the Saints – might be the best team in the NFC other than the Packers, in my opinion. And so for them to go up against the Bears, it's going to be a wash. I know both these teams. It's going to be a wash.
Yeah, I mean, there's an argument to be made that the Saints roster is better than the Packers overall, and I think that's like a good argument.
Keep in mind, I'm a Packers fan, everyone. So when I start saying stuff like that, keep that in mind.
Yeah, no, but it's just like I wouldn't pick any NFC team over Aaron Rodgers right now.
No.
With that. With that caveat there, I'll say I think the Saints roster is probably better overall, but I'm not picking them in a game, especially. And you know what? Our good friend Evan Parfait and I were having this conversation way earlier in the season when we were doing our own playoff predictions. And I was just saying this is sort of a preview for what we might see later down the line. But I think that if the Packers securing home field is the absolute best sort of contingency plan to have against the Saints, because I feel like that game, if the Packers went to, the Superdome, you could have a conversation, but with the Saints being forced to come to Lambeau no matter what, that's going to be tough for the Saints if that ever happens.
And if I can just throw something in about Green Bay here, because it is an NFC playoff show, I'm obviously, if you looked at the odds books, they're going to tell you right now that Green Bay is going to the Super Bowl. But I will tell you that I've watched go ahead.
I was just going to say, fun fact, I bet on the Packers before the season to win the Super Bowl.
Oh, really? So you're looking
$1. I got a $1 ticket, so I win like, I don't know, $300 or something like that, whatever the odds were. I haven't looked at it in a while.
You very well might win that, because what's stupid is I was ranting about this to Kale and Lucas last night. was that Green Bay, after the Jordan Love pick, for some reason, people just forgot we were 13-3 and lost in the NFC Championship. And our Vegas win total was 8.5 wins. And I said, that is the freest money that you will ever bet, is for Aaron Rodgers to win 8 games. That's it. Regarding he stays healthy, like, they're going to win that. And for them to secure that number 1 seed, to come through Lambeau to get to Tampa Bay, you look at the teams that are in the NFC playoffs right now. Rams, not a chance they're winning at Lambeau. You look at Saints, that now we're having a conversation. Bears won't even be there. And the Bucks, that's going to be a great matchup.
That would be a great matchup.
Does the bracket lead to, like, we're playing either the Bucks or the like, how does the bracket work with the 1 seed? We play the third.
Well, you as the 1 seed will play whatever the lowest seed to advance is. So it will likely be, I don't know. I guess based on our predictions, it will likely be you'll be playing
Did you
next
say the Bucks
week?
There? We kind of lost you for a sec. Did you say the Bucks?
Yeah, the Buccaneers.
Yeah, it would be the Bucks.
Just based on our predictions, which is kind of disappointing, because I would like to see that matchup in the NFC Championship, but it wouldn't be a bad consolation if the Saints and the Packers make it there.
No, absolutely not.
Obviously, that'll be a conversation for when we do this video next week. But yeah, one thing I did want to say, and I did want to get your opinion on this because we haven't talked about it on the show or off air either. Think about it, because it feels so long ago now after this season, but like, Aaron Rodgers for a couple years there was not perceived as a lock top 5 QB.
He wasn't,
which is really weird looking back, because now it's insane if you would even think he's outside of the top 2.
It seems stupid. There was years where guys like obviously Lamar had his MVP season last year, but you ask a guy this year who's better, everyone says Aaron.
It's not even close.
You ask a guy last year who's better,
most people would say Lamar.
Absolutely, and that's just media perception. If you watched a lot of Packers football, which both of us do, you know that Aaron last year was playing still at a high level. Like, he was still playing at a high level. He wasn't having an MVP season like this.
No, he wasn't what he's doing this year, where it's like historic numbers.
No. He was not having a historic year, but he was still playing at a top 5 QB level. We were 13-3. You take him off the team, you know what happened a few years ago when he got hurt. We were like 7-9, missed the playoffs.
Yep.
That's just how it is. He is a top 5 QB. You put Aaron on our squad, and we're going to the NFC Championship. What scares me is that we still have to play NFC Championship football, and Green Bay hasn't been able to make it past that game 3 times that they've been there since 2010.
I think they have the best chance this year. This is because, like, the competition. Like, I think their biggest. Well, it's tough, because I do want to talk about this, because we don't really know what it's going to look like. Like, all of this could be irrelevant by this time next week. But I think the Buccaneers pose the biggest chance, but the Saints, they could start playing. It's interesting because, like, you look at, like, the last time championship game, which was last year, I believe, against the 49ers. It was like the 49ers were just, like, they were clearly the best team in the conference with the way their defense was playing.
Well, that's the different thing, right? Is that, like,
and the Falcons before that a couple years ago, same thing. Like, they were clearly the best team in the conference, whereas Green Bay kind of has that mantle now.
Well, and the thing is, man, that's exactly it. And if you look at, I mean, this could have been what you just said. You just cut out right before I heard the end there. But the thing is that last year, San Francisco was the dog that you had to look at in the face and be like, whoa, we got to beat this guy. Yeah, exactly. And it was the same thing, like you probably said. I caught the end of it, like the Falcons when they had Julio and stuff like that. And it was just undeniable that they were better than
Matt Ryan's.
And you were getting conversations last year that Green Bay was the worst number 1 seed in NFL history. There was people saying that last year. And I'm not going to sit here and say that it was the worst in NFL history, but we were not the best team in the NFC last year. Not even close. The Saints were better than us too. We were just not the number 1 seed last year. This year, I truthfully believe in my heart of hearts, we are the best team in the NFC. And there is a little bit of a gap, I think, and the gap was growing those last 2 games of the season for the Green Bay really sold it to me, against Tennessee and against the Bears.
Yeah.
Both of them playoff games. 40-13.
I think the Tennessee game really proved a lot of things about the Green Bay Packers. And I throw cold water on your take. I'm just saying, like, I agree that they have the best chance. But I just don't want to say, like, I don't want to write off the Buccaneers. They could just turn it on. And I'm not saying they will be, like, they could look better than the Packers, even though that's a possibility. I'm not like going to predict that to happen.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, like, if, you know, because right now the Packers are far and away the best team. I think that's clear in the NFC because, you know, the Buccaneers, despite being hot, they still have their problems. The Saints obviously still have some injuries, and they're like the two biggest contenders, I think, for the Packers. And so things could change by the time the NFC Championship game rolls around. But I'm just saying, I think that's the difference between previous years for the Packers, is that they are right now the clear best team.
Absolutely, man. And I was saying this to Kale and Lucas again last night, that I think if Green Bay actually makes it to the Super Bowl, this is not going to make sense, but just try and hear me out. If Green Bay makes it to the Super Bowl, we have a better, I think we will win the Super Bowl. Where if we go to the NFC Championship, we have a higher chance of losing the NFC Championship than we do losing the Super Bowl being in both games. Does that make sense?
Yeah, like historically speaking, like just based off of how the teams play.
History and just the fact that Green Bay has just never made it out of the NFC Championship since 10 years now. And every single time we get in that moment where we're one step away, every step this year we've taken the right step, and now we're one step away, and I don't know if we're going to be able to execute it against a team like the Saints. It's going to be very tough to see if we can do it. If we do it and we do go to the Super Bowl, watch out, because this team is hungrier than a lot of teams, and we're ready to take it, baby. We're ready to take it home. It'd be good for the show for Green Bay to win one, I think. It'd be good for me.
Oh, yeah. I'm not sure if I'd want to be part of the episode after where they lose, but
oh no.
I agree.
Especially because we have a Chiefs fan also. Kale is a Chiefs fan, so that would be quite the
yeah, I'm staying away after that.
Well, me and Kale jokingly have already, well, not jokingly actually, we've already agreed that if Green Bay and Kansas City comes to both play in the Super Bowl, I'm just coming to Dundas. We're not going to watch together because it would just be too much. Like, we can't do it. So I'll be watching with you. So you might see the live reaction, which might be worse. So
yeah. Well, I hope that's the matchup though, just for my own sake as a football fan.
Well, it would be fun, wouldn't it? The two the MVP and then the other guy, whoever that ends up being, going up against each other. And well, I think we should wrap this one up. That was a lot of fun talking about some NFC football. And please give it a like, because you know what? Me and Sneed love the football videos, and we like to see them do well on our analytics. So throw it a like, and tune in next week, because we're probably wrong about a lot of these things, and then we'll see it all shape up.
Watch Washington win, and then I'm just going to look like such an asshole.
Hey, man, if the Bears win, we both look like idiots. So it all goes around and comes around. But anyway, thanks a lot for watching, and we will see you next time.